Hey everybody, it's Audrey. Thanks so much for stopping by my channel today. I have a layout for the Paige Evans and Silhouette design team, and I'm using a cut file from from Paige's store in Silhouette. I'm using a couple different cut files today, and this one's a big title. It says "Looking Good," and I have some goofy pictures of my daughter who stole my phone and took some selfies, so she's going to regret those someday. So, of course, I'm going to put them on a scrapbook page. So I opened the file, which is the Lookin' Good file. I have it there in the center, and I'm drawing some circles here because I had envisioned having my photos be circles, so I was going to cut them out of circles. But you'll see in a little bit here that they actually end up being squares because when I tried to crop them into circles, her head just didn't fit in the circle right, so I had to leave the squares. Anyway, I have the title in the middle. I'm going to fool around with these circles a little bit. I think I measured them to be exactly 3 inches so that when I go and print my photos in Photoshop, that the circles, or the photos will be exactly 3 inches square. So in addition to the title, I thought I wanted to add some flowers or some type of floral things. Whenever I do pages for my daughter that are just of her, I try to use more floral-like elements or more girly things because I don't typically use them if I do a page about my daughter and son together, or if I do a page about my son. So I try to go all girly when I can. So I'm just looking for some flower files here. So these are all Paige's files that I have stored in my library in Silhouette Studio. And you can see over on the left underneath my, my folder system there that I have a specific folder just for Paige Evan's design team. And by the way, this is just a little tip. If you're going through and you want to find, files that are just by one individual artist, you can use a search bar on the top there and type in, like I always just type in Paige, P-A-I-G-E, and it will come up with all her files. So that's very helpful if you're trying to search by artist. So I wasn't quite sure what floral, what floral print I was going to use. You can see there are so many here. I don't have them organized. I lost my library one time with Silhouette, and it was very frustrating, and so I am not going to spend all that time organizing again. I'm just going to kind of glance through when I need it, and sometimes I go to the Silhouette store and browse through all the files, even though I already have them, and just to kind of see them in a different light. So what do I pick? Okay, so I picked this really large mum-like flower, and I'm going to shrink it down, and I like doing this in Silhouette software because I like designing my page on the software, because then when I actually get to break it out the paper and the glue, it goes by super fast because I already have my idea planned. I really like how this looks, but it didn't end up the same way, and that's okay. I actually don't end up using this particular cut file because I made these flowers really small and they were just too detailed, and I just did not think my machine was going to cut them very well. I don't have a super sharp blade right now. I don't have a very sticky mat right now, so I thought it might be a little bit of a disaster if I tried to cut a very fine, detailed flower. So I go back and look for another one. Actually, I don't think I showed this on camera, but I do end up picking another one. I think now I'm looking for some leaves and some branches because I thought I would add some leaves and some branches in as well. So I don't know what I'm doing here. Where did I go? I saw this file. This is what happened. I saw this other file, and then I had another idea. I'm like, what if I took my title? So I'm going to copy and paste that onto a new blank design sheet, and I have one large flower. So I grabbed this half a flower here, and I'm going to, oops, they got linked together, so I'm going to undo that. I'm going to put the flower underneath and have the title on the top. And I decided I don't like that either. So you can see here, I'll rotate this flower. I mean, it's cute, but it wasn't the look I was going for, and I didn't think it would fit. When I did this, there wasn't really any place to put my photos either. I know, you're saying, all right, come on, let's get on with the paper and the pretty stuff. I did not realize how long this part was. Okay, so I separated all those files out. They're cutting on my machine. I'm not sure if I'm cutting them right this second. If they're cutting, they'll be up in the top right corner. So I thought I would try something with my Distress Oxide inks, which I am just so in love with these inks and the depth of their color and just how they react with water. It's so cool. So you can see I'm just taking the ink pads and I am just putting stripes down, and I hate that purple bled into that yellow, but oh well. So I'm pressing really hard at the top, and as I go down, I'm kind of releasing the pressure a little bit, but I wanted the color to be really bold at the top and kind of fade out towards the bottom. Then I have a little spritz bottle filled with water, and I sprayed it with water, and I'm going to dab it off, and look at how cool that looks. I just love how these, I mean, I know this isn't anything new. Everybody uses water with these oxide inks like this, but every time I love it. So then I thought, well, maybe I want the water to drip down, but then I was afraid the colors were going to get muddy, and that blue and that orange together kind of do, because they're a little bit opposite colors. So I let it run a tiny bit, but then I'm like, I don't think I like that. So I'm just going to pull up as much as I can. So I do this for a little bit. I keep spraying and, adding water. And then I also go back and I'll add in some mists, not mists, but little droplets of the ink too. So I take the ink pad and I just stamp it. This is actually the cover sheet for my Silhouette mats, these are old cover sheets from old mats. They make great little like craft mats, especially for mixing paint. So if you have those blue sheets from your old mats, save them because they're good for mixing paints and doing the packaging technique and stuff like that. So you can see I'm just pushing the mat on the paper, adding a little bit of water, using a paintbrush, and then splattering. So I'm doing a lot of the splatters towards the bottom of each color column, and just kind of getting lighter in the splatters as I move up. All right, that'll do it for my splatters, I think. So what is next? Oh, I tried to blend a little bit between the lines. I wanted them to be more, I don't know, not as, well, more blended, not as a stark difference between one to the next. And I thought I would just embrace it instead because it wasn't going to blend very well. So I machine stitched, and it's very hard to see. I machine stitched between each color. I'm not sure if I did a close up there or not, but and that kind of just made them into separate columns, which was fine. So then I thought I would add something else to the background, just a little bit more interest with the colors here. So I'm taking the same exact colors, and I am using a stamp set from Paige Evan from her Turn the Page collection. And these are little layered stamps. I don't use all the layers. I just use a couple of them. And I like how where I had spritzed the water, it lightened the color up a little bit. So when I went back with the same ink color again, you can still see the pattern. And this worked better for the darker colors, like the purple you can see really well. The yellow you can hardly see at all. So if I did this again, I would definitely stick, I think, to the darker colors, or maybe add more water on it to pull up some of the colors. So I'm doing a couple flowers towards the bottom, or I'm sorry, I did the bigger flowers all throughout the color column and all throughout from top to bottom. And then these kind of little starfish looking like flowers, I just kind of concentrated them a little bit more towards the bottom. And I really love how that came out. So that was fun. I had contemplated going back over with the layer. I think it's like a little stitched outline that you could put around the flowers, but I didn't think that it would show up that well. So I skipped that. So my Looking Good has cut out. There are my goofy photos of my daughter, which every time I look at them, she makes me laugh. And this cut out so nice. And these flowers, I think it's this cut file I ended up using for the flowers. It's just called Flower Clusters. And there's a couple different doodly flowers, and they're great. I decided not to back them with pattern paper, and you'll see, I don't think I actually use any pattern paper. Well, I do to do the photos, to map the photos a little bit, but the colors were just so bright in the background, I didn't think I needed any pattern paper. So I just am ripping these flowers off, and I am kind of scattering them around, and I really don't do too much arranging here. Where I put them the first time, they actually end up staying, which is a miracle for me if you watch my videos, because you know I move things around 1,000 times before I commit. And I just didn't really know what much else I could do with the placement of these, so I'm like, I'm leaving them because I like them how they are. So I went back and I actually cut out the Lookin' Good again, but I did an outline of it. So I cut the whole thing out without the individual lines inside, and I cut it out of vellum. So you can see the piece of vellum there on my desk. And I'm using a sheet of sticky dots. So this is a sheet of, like if you have a tape runner that has sticky dots on it, this is a whole sheet of that adhesive. And you pull the protective layer back from the top, you stick your cut file down on the adhesive, and you kind of rub it, close the top back over, rub it in, and then you pull up your cut file, and it has adhesive all over the back. It's so clean, it's so easy. You don't have to worry about a fine tip or anything. I love using the sticky dots. It's made by ThermoWeb. I used to be on their design team, and I stocked up on these when I left the design team because I just love these so much. I wanted to do vellum behind the letters because I just thought it was going to make them stand out a little bit more against the bright colors. And you'd still see the bright colors through it, but just makes the title pop. So it bothered me a little bit that between some of the letters, like the spaces that should have been open were covered with vellum. So I do go back through here with an X-Acto knife, and I just cut out some of those spaces. There weren't too many, just a couple, and it was just really, it goes really quick here. So I like doing that technique with the sticky dots paper. It just makes it so much easier and quicker to adhere. It works. You could also use it for like if you're backing these cut files with pattern paper as well. Okay, so I got the title down. I'm gonna back the photos here with some gold foiled hearts. This actually came from a 12 by 12 paper pack. I don't think you can buy it as a separate pattern paper. That is from Turn the Page, maybe? I can't remember. I think it is from Turn. I'm using mostly Turn the Page and the Pick Me Up collection here. I pulled out a couple die cuts. Actually, I don't really, I play around with them a lot where they go, and I don't use too many die cuts, again, because I had the cutout white flower, doodle flowers. I had so much bright color in the background. I had the stamping. I'm just going to leave it to a minimum and just embellish with a few label stickers and whatnot here and there. This little sheet is from the Pick Me Up collection. It has a whole bunch of fun phrases. And I was trying, I didn't want to get all matchy with the embellishments and the background colors, but I kind of ended up doing that because if I had the colors like scattered all over, it was just way too busy. So I kind of put blue elements on the blue column and, you know, more coral color elements in the coral ink area. And it just, like I said, it just made it look more cohesive and not super color blast. I play around with stuff for a while. I don't show you me putting down every last little bit, but here is what I ended up with. Just a few tiny stickers, a butterfly, a little rub-on that says "You Go Girl," and some journaling. A little heart piece of chipboard there, see the yellow on the yellow. And I did tuck a little flower sticker under each one, just for a teeny tiny bit of color pop. And that is it for that page. So this was fun. I love those inks. I can't wait to play with them some more. Thanks so much for stopping by today. Hope you enjoyed. Go check out Paige's cut files in the Silhouette store. Stay scrappy, friends.